Hi, I'm Corey Moss, representing Rave Publications. I'm here at Enterprise Connect, and I'm with CEO Erik Lia of Videxio. How are you, Tom?
I'm fine, Corey.
I'm doing good, thank you. So let's get right to it. Tell me about Videxio. What's happening at the company these days?
Yeah. Should I? Videxio, of course, we have a goal of video enable any organization in 5 minutes with professional endpoints like the Cisco and Polycoms that we have behind here, mobile devices and virtual meeting rooms, everything delivered from the cloud. Anywhere actually, so we have a global backbone that counts, I think, 18 different data centers around the world, from China to DC and down to the Middle East and Europe. And the whole goal of our solution is, of course, to make it easy to buy for the customer, but also make it easy for the partners and our resellers to sell and support the service.
Okay. So why don't we get into it? You have some business developments right now. Why don't you tell me about those?
So it is exciting times. We just announced we had experienced more than 200% growth over the last 6 months, which is quite fantastic for different reasons. One is, of course, that we see actually the revenue is following the growth of the traffic we have over the network, so that's also nice. But the other thing is actually that it comes from a combination of both acquiring new customers, but we also see a huge, tremendous growth from existing customers. So finally, it seems that they are experience video and they want to use video more, and we see that as a huge traffic growth on the service. The other thing is actually quite interesting, is that the traffic growth also comes from Microsoft. So we now see that on our network, 25% or more than 25% actually from the traffic comes from Microsoft Link users that have a need to communicate with high quality globally around the world, that have the need of interoperability between Cisco, Polycom, Microsoft, WebRTC and other guests. So we currently have users now in more than 150 countries. I think we counted like 9,000 cities around the world. So I think business is going well, and I'm happy to see that we also are able to leverage some of the push in the market that Microsoft and Google and others are creating.
Okay, very good. So why don't we get into your solutions right now? Why don't we talk first about My Videxio?
Yeah. Good. So My Videxio is really two things. It's for the end user, it's a nice way to invite, control, and manage your own meeting room experience. Looking at your usage, downloading software, clients, Outlook plugins, and really what we try with My Videxio is to simplify the whole user experience. So whether you connect to the service with traditional video equipment, WebRTC, Microsoft and others, it really makes it easy for you to invite other people as well as control the whole meeting experience. So that's one part of My Videxio. The other part of My Videxio is for the IT administrator of the company. And what My Videxio does for the IT administrator is that you can actually administrating your whole solution. So you can invite new users in your company, you can change them, you can remove them, you get statistics. So you really much can manage your own video solution, even though you buy the solution from the cloud. So that is My Videxio, and we just launched a couple of great new features around it. So that's one of the things that we are showing here at the show today. The second product is, or the second enhancement we are doing is really around the audio experience. And with the audio experience, we are doing several things. One is that we have now integrated audio dial-ins in about 40 different countries around the world. So when you have a video meeting, you can invite audio participants and they dial their local country number. We also have integration with Skype audio, so if you don't want to use the normal phone, you can use your Skype audio, for example, or video in some cases. The second thing we've done on the audio side is really some major companies already have an audio conferencing solution. And they used to use it, and they have really a need for scaling up the audio conferencing. So let's say you might have 5 or 6 or 7 people on video, and you might have 200 people on audio. and they have deployed their own solution. So one of the things that we also have launched for this show is a way for enterprise to integrate with their existing audio conferencing bridge. So you can of course use our audio conferencing bridge, but it's a nice way if you already rolled it out. It's a nice way of actually doing that. And then lastly, we made it easy. If you have your phone with you, you open the Videxio audio app, and then you actually dial directly into your conference room. So it's kind of an audio conferencing app, which is pretty easy to use. And it's quite interesting because even though we're using video, I mean, a lot of times you want to be part of a meeting and you don't have video available. You're on your phone and you just want a nice way of accessing the service. So that is really an update we've done on the my meeting audio side. So those three things around the audio.
Okay. All right. So talking about mobile devices, iOS, Android, BYOD especially, in talking to the enterprise where it is escalating in the enterprise these days. So why don't you talk to the enterprise in terms of such things as BYOD, collaboration, how the Videxio solutions fit in well with that?
So I think one of the interesting thing is when you combine the personal devices and whether there's on your mobile device, your phone, your tablets, or on your PC or your Mac. One of the things that you can do when you now host everything in the cloud is that it actually makes it extremely easy to roll out, because I think one of the challenges with BYOD from a video perspective is that you don't know where the users are, where they're going to access the service from, and in the traditional way where you build up your own service internally, you kind of had clusters with maybe the Cisco VCSs or call manager in certain regions, but with BYOD, I mean, you get access to the service anywhere in the world on any network, anytime really, so you kind of lose a little bit of control. And what's interesting is that we actually see this trend as pushing people to the cloud, because the cloud is a typical place where you would solve all of these problems, not by becoming a service provider yourself. So this is very interesting, and one of the things that we're also launching now at this show is our own software client for video, My Meeting Video, which now initially is launched on the PC and the Mac. Obviously it will come out on the Android and the iOS device later. But one of the things that we are demonstrating with our client is a way to integrate then a client tightly with a service. So for example, you have your own virtual meeting room, it's easy accessible through the client. All your history data, all the things you connected is already available in the client itself. So I think for us to really create this seamless user experience, it's great to finally have control of the end user experience as well.
Okay. So where we talk about hardware versus software in the collaboration space, and of course it's been long-term talk, it's still going on. You do still see a lot of hardware out there. So, Tom, Erik, where do you see these trends going with cloud and all versus hardware now?
Well, so I think I went to Roland's keynote this morning, and he had some interesting figures. I mean, he told us that Cisco has experienced about 60% growth in number of units. And I think that is very interesting. So if you look at hardware, I think and I do believe in these high quality endpoints that creates this great meeting room experience. I think as volume goes up, it's natural that it becomes more commodity and the prices will go down, which also was a clear indication from Cisco this morning, where the growth in unit was more than 60%, the growth in revenue was 10%. So there's two things that struck me. One is we see also that the trend of infrastructure is flat and will become flat moving forward. So what are all of these devices being connected to? My belief is that, of course, they will be connected to the cloud. So one way, it will drive demand for different type of cloud solutions, so that's great. The other thing that is very interesting is, of course, that I think last year we had 1.2 billion devices on mobile devices that are capable of WebRTC natively. And I think that creates a completely new universe in a way to add video into lots of type of applications and create a lot more use cases than just these dedicated units that in volume, of course, are in a few millions instead of billions that we see with mobile devices. But my belief is to really companies that are really successful in deploying video as a communication tool have a combination of kind of dedicated endpoints, mobile devices, and the key thing about usage and adoption and all of these things are, of course, interoperability. So the user will expect these things to work together. And what we see when people are now putting things on the service is that you get that interoperability built in. So the ability to have a link client connect into your Cisco unit that we have behind us here actually makes the Cisco unit more usable. And we see that the ROI of these endpoints and conference rooms are much better when you are able to do interoperability and actually meet, and not only meeting conference room to conference room, but conference room to these mobile devices, etc. So my belief that there's still going to be a big market for these dedicated devices, but price will go down and experience will go up, and they all need a cloud solution to connect into.
So I like to talk about the roadmap for 2015. Yeah. So speaking specifically to the enterprise in terms of the UCC roadmap, how would you define that?
Our roadmap, you mean?
Your roadmap and the collaboration and what's going to happen in the collaboration space in general.
So I think it's there's a couple of things that I think is really exciting, and the first one is I think. The solution will become a lot more context aware. I believe there will be a lot more intelligence coming from the clients as you connect things to the cloud. The cloud allows you to have a lot more information about you as a user. Where you used your solution before, how was the quality the previous time, who are you calling, who are your colleagues, who are you connecting into, what are your needs, and I think in the future what we see now with our clients and some of the steps we take is that by using the cloud, we will use a lot more of the intelligence that is already there to create a much better user experience. It could be that you're visiting an office out there that you've been before. We know you've been there before. We know you use one of these conference rooms. We can suggest that you should connect into those conference rooms, and we might even do it automatically. You connected from your home network. That previous 10 times the quality was really bad, so we might suggest to connect you on audio instead of video. You might connect into your Outlook calendar or your AD integration and all of these things as well. So I think cloud, mobile, more intelligent in the way you're using the service will all come together, and that's what we see now moving forward is we'll make it more intelligent and make sure that you are able to combine all of these technology together, and I think that is really exciting.
Very good, and I'll tell you what, we can end that here on that note. Again, here at Enterprise Connect, thank you very much, Tom Erik Lia.
Thank you for listening.
Okay.